Let's just take our chances. Right, and we are live on air. Do you want to run the intro? Take our chances. Right, we are live on air. Do you want to run And welcome. I think I was speaking over that somehow, so I do apologise. So this is our weekly live chat on Recruiter Zone, and I'm joined by Stephen, who is my co-host.
Evening.
Stephen's got a slight technology issue today. I've got a slight sore throat issue. Some of our guests have got technology issues. This could be really quite interesting because the topic is how the top recruiters use technology. And I actually would like to make a comment on this, which is that if you're going to use technology that's been around for a while, then you ought to be getting it right because you can learn from other people's mistakes. If you are going to use technology which is new, which is what we are doing, it is going to go wrong. And I think it's fine for it to go wrong. I think that as long as you are upfront about trying to do something which is cutting edge within your space, then I think that, you know, the occasional bloop is actually absolutely fine. And it shouldn't stop you from trying things out. When I first started doing my newsletter, which must have been 15 years ago, I had a bit of a problem with sending it out to people, and I accidentally sent it to everyone, showing everyone else's email address. And it was horrific. It was the most awful thing that had ever happened to me. But there were not loads of people doing email newsletters at that point. There was no MailChimp or anything like that. So stuff was bound to go wrong, and I survived it. And we will survive this with or without guests. So, Stephen, do you want to talk a bit about why we're doing this, about the tech event that's coming up, while I work out who I can get on screen?
Yes. So the tech event, correct me if I'm wrong, Louise, is on the 7th of June. Technology event for UK recruiters. And every year, that will be used by recruitment companies, some employers, but largely recruitment companies, such as CRM systems, video technology, interviewing, any number of systems there and support structures that can help recruitment agencies do what they do beyond the human side of what they do, and have technology take care of automating some of the really dull processes that are inevitably part of the recruitment process for recruitment agencies. Also, ways in which candidates can be found, information can be disseminated, and ways in which we can be much more efficient in what we do. Now, a lot of people glaze additional gains that a new piece of technology can bring them, and other people are really fired up by that extra 3% efficiency that a bit of new tech can bring. But is largely about ways of bringing the new technologies that are to companies that are at the forefront of looking to optimize.
Absolutely. You just breaking up a tiny bit there.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. No, that's perfect. Thank you, Stephen. I've hidden myself now. Hold on. I'm going to just re-find myself. So we're joined by 4 guests today, I hope. We're due to have Bill with us. Where's Bill, Stephen?
Bill is in Munich at the moment.
Right, okay. So let's see whether we can get him on. But we're lucky to have Katrina Colley with us, who's going to be at the tech event as well. Stephen, I know you've got a couple of questions for Katrina. I'm going to pop myself off screen and do a bit of social sharing. Everything we talk about now is going to go on the blog, and I will share some links to stuff which any of our guests talk about and any questions that go in the side stream. So I'll hand over to you and Katrina.
Bye, Lou.
Katrina, first. Delightful, Katrina Collier, but for the benefit
hang on, we got you before I go on and you froze.
What? Sorry, but can you give us a bit more information on yourself? You'd know you already, but let's just make sure that they really do.
They all know me. I am Katrina Collier. I am a global trainer on social media recruitment. Oh, I do need to zoom in. You're not meant to see my screen. So I travel the globe training companies how to source on social media, but more and more it's becoming more about how do we get people to respond, how do recruiters look like somebody worth talking to, and things like that. So that's what I get to do. Train, tech, whatever.
Louise, she suggested asking the question, why are you ranting about... It is your cri de guerre at the moment, your hashtag, and that's almost a push against technology.
For anybody? Is Stephen freezing for everybody or just me?
Everybody.
My apologies. Okay. So can you tell us a bit more about Be Human, your hashtag Be Human, and you're talking about that of late?
I am, because there's incoming. There's so much talk about. Sorry, that was a little unexpected. This is being human. There's so much talk about technology and artificial intelligence and robotics and, you know, all of these fantastic sourcing tools that we all have. But of course, there's thank you, Nicole. He's gorgeous and the best. But of course, we're not using this technology to build relationships. Few are using it to build relationships and to engage with candidates really well. In other words, engage with people as people. I don't know what's happened. We seem to have lost the plot in the last few years. So the Be Human came around about the time of SourceCon, where I was very honoured to keynote, and the whole conference was about artificial intelligence and robotics. And I was just going, yes, but that's all well and good, and technology will find so much information, but it just won't find everything.
Yeah.
So why don't we use tech to build relationships and engage people and fill up that pipeline, and, you know, just do the stuff recruiters are meant to do instead of just going in for the quick win and spamming and hiding behind it.
So at an event where everyone's there to talk about automation and technology, you were reminding them that actually it's about the individuals involved, it's about the human people that are part of the process.
Absolutely. I mean, because, you know, pretty well everybody who's down the side there knows me and knows I'm quite an open book on social media. Just stuck his butt at the camera, sorry. But even still, even I don't share everything because I just don't think to do it. So I was talking about, I'm a HSP, which is 15 to 20% of the population are highly sensitive. So all of their normal senses are raised above normal. And what that means is I can't sit in an open plan office because the noise bugs me. The smells also bug me. So men spraying their deodorants and women spraying their perfumes and things like that give me headaches. So even though I'm an open book, and artificial intelligence and robotics and all of these great tools that we have will find so much about me, they won't find that. So unless you actually pick up the telephone and have a conversation, you won't know that.
So
I mean, imagine it's more known now.
I would never previously have thought of you as someone who would resist technology. Normally, any new gadget, gizmo, and toy, you'll be having a play with it to find out not only how you can use it, but how you can misuse it, how you can exploit the edges of what's possible. So, for example, on LinkedIn, bend the rules slightly.
I think I got to LinkedIn. I didn't quite hear that.
But ways in which you can exploit LinkedIn in ways that they perhaps didn't design.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I am a huge user of technology myself. But if you take into the fact that it's allowed recruiters to be lazy, so quick, I'll run the 2 keyword search and I will send Stephen a completely irrelevant email, or even an email that you won't open because you'll just be like, oh God, another one. Yeah, so people have stopped going on there. I mean, LinkedIn has reduced all the features and recruiters have used it to spam too much. However, if you look at it the other way, avid user, absolutely love my technology. I'm sure while I'm sitting here, my email will be going off, my messaging will be going off, my Slack channel will be going off, everything will be pinging and clicking, and you're trying to get my attention over that.
Yeah.
And so if I was sitting in an office where I've got actual real life colleagues as opposed to a dog, and the phone's going on top of that, and just the general chit chat, and there's all that tech going off, and recruiters want to be heard above all of that. Like, do they deserve somebody's attention? Does that spray and pray message deserve attention? So that's where, yes, I'm a huge believer in it. And I love hacking into LinkedIn and finding out extra stuff about extra information. But does someone really deserve that time?
in amongst all the technology that you're using, do you feel as if you're entirely separate from the tech?
Am I entirely comfortable? And I lost you. Nobody else is getting this either. It's like a game. Guess the missing word. I have no idea what he's asking me.
I can't tell either. So why don't you make your own question up and give it a go at answering it?
Does anything bother me about the technology? No. Look, I live in London. Like a lot of people, so I was in Spain and they were saying, oh, well, we can't just share photographs of our staff. And my head's just going, why not? Because I live in London and we're so incredibly photographed here. There's CCTV everywhere. And I've got nothing to hide in the respect of I'm not doing anything illegal. So no, I don't care. And I'm not really bothered because I think Big Brother can see it all anyway. But I think it's all, again, about how you use it. And are you using it to the best of your ability? Are you using it to find conversation starters and to engage people and to treat them with respect? I think we've lost that somewhere in this wonderful people business.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, definitely use the tech, but learn how to use it and use it well. Oh, you're back again.
I think the microphone might be a little patchy still.
Yeah, can't see your picture, Stephen, but we can hear you.
Want to refresh?
I think that's because Mark said we've already started winding down the internet for Scotland. Is that when Scotland leaves England post-Brexit?
I'm quite far south. I'll be all right.
That will be cool.
Katrina, because we're trying to spend maybe 15 minutes in each session, have you got a few top tips that you could actually share with recruiters on how you could use technology in a more way?
Yeah, for sure. Someone's creating an echo. Oh, it's gone. Waiting for Steve. Bless him.
Can you hear me any better now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think it's Dig, like really Dig. Yeah, I love all the Chrome extensions, but every single time I see a recruiter in one of the sourcing groups, I don't know, Mark will vouch as well, who goes, oh, what's the latest tool for finding an email address? I kind of die to death.
Yeah.
I think you should be using those fantastic Chrome extensions. Like I love them, like Connectify, Social Links, and Discoverly, and Profit, and I mean Hiretual. There's so many of them to find out information to have a conversation with somebody about.
Yes.
It's not just going in cold. And these things take seconds. I don't want you to spend hours. You're busy, but just a couple of extra seconds. So that's how I think they should be used. And really, I think in general, you should be picking the phone up because my phone rings so rarely. It's so exciting. And if you want someone's attention.
For me, the beginning of the detachment of recruiters using tech or hiding behind tech was when they started to have the tools where they could look up the details of an individual and someone before making the call. And the further that they could delay, maybe they were. Now, having, as you say, having that bit of prep time before you get someone on the phone is all well and good. But frankly, the best source of information for any individual is the individual themselves. Make the call.
Yeah. You are freezing a lot. So I'll just finish that with, if you start the call by one, saying who you are, where you're from, showing that you've done that research. So like, hi, Bill.
Yeah,
I saw you've got a new hat. We really love hats here at whatever company, and boom, you got his attention.
Yeah.
Right? At instant. Then of course go into, look, is now a great time to talk, could we talk after hours? We'd love to hear what you're looking to do in your career, and it's all you. Yeah. Absolutely, I completely agree.
So essentially getting the technology out of the way, use it, but don't have it in between you and the candidate.
Exactly.
So now that we've got Bill here, Bill, can you hear us? You seem to be muted.
See, that's the funniest version of Bill ever.
You might have muted me, maybe.
I can hear you now.
Sorry, I muted you, Bill. I didn't know how busy and loud it was at True Munich.
Yes.
Sounds very good. So, Bill, you've been doing it for a long time now, but in particular in the past year, you've been talking a lot more about not only big data.
Katrina, can you interview Bill?
All right, I'm Scottish. I'm from Glasgow. No, I really can't do Scottish. I don't know what.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I was trying to mimic my brother-in-law, failing profusely.
Cussing out terribly, Stephen. You'll try again, and then maybe I'll take over.
I think he was just asking what's going on at Truebill. What are you doing? Fill us in.
Yeah, well, it's a bunch of people. We're in Munich this time, so it's a month on from Berlin, and in the Career Builder, Broadbean offices, TextKernel, some of the other guys are here. So we've got about 70 people talking recruiting and talent, what's going on, particularly in this market. In Germany, lots of talk about data and security and stuff.
They're more worried about it.
Yes. Yeah, or there's more legislation and more requirement over what you can and can't do. So it's a normal kind of topic of conversation here.
Quite funny because I'm tomorrow, and it's hard for us to want to break barriers, and they don't.
The first time I went to the first event we had in Germany, kind of opened my eyes a little bit. We were talking about the fact that you couldn't have talent pooling, and you can't keep talent pools, and you can't keep lists, you can't do things like that. In Germany, which I found a bit kind of strange and bizarre, and said, how do you work that out? They said, well, what you have to understand is in Germany, we don't have the best history of putting people on lists. So we don't really do that. Kind of, sometimes when somebody puts it to you like that, you kind of go, yeah, okay, I get it. I hear where you're coming from. And you understand the culture a little bit better.
Yeah. What about tools like Hello Talent, though, then, where they're not really putting anyone in an applicant tracking system?
Yeah,
they're just
yeah.
kind of...
Yeah, and Hello Talent's okay for grabbing data. It's if you're putting people into lists and they're not volunteering. And actually, I think this is an issue which is going to be an issue globally. We've just had the case in the US, or the settlement between Monster and TalentBin, and the public case, which was brought about from creating profiles from people without them giving express permission, and then using them to rank people, which is effectively most of the sourcing. So anything that uses an aggregated aggregated data and doesn't ask for permission to use it, puts it together and gives people a ranking, which is what an algorithm does. That's kind of the AI argument, is now getting on dodgy ground in terms of being illegal. So I think we're going to see lots of change in that space over the next 3 or 4 months.
Bill, as you
everything from actual to predictive hire to Intello, to all these guys are having to seriously think about it.
As you travel the world, Bill, do you see different takes on technology in terms of culture, acceptance of recruitment, and HR?
I think not really, because or too much. There is a little bit if you go out to Africa or places like that where people don't have internet connections. Someone like Nando's, I'm doing some work with. They have 5,000 employees. Only 2,000 of those people are online. So you see a little bit of that geographically. But generally speaking, I think we're just at the beginning of our understanding over things like AI and data. We're not even really scratching the surface. I think our biggest challenge right now is we're approaching it from a human perspective and trying to figure out what people would do and trying to get machines to do the same thing. And that's becoming a real contradiction in practice. I think a lot of it's driven by fear as well. I think there's a fear that I've looked at it. I think you can actually automate 100% of the recruiter's job. I think we're ready for automation of about 80%. And I'm talking automation rather than necessarily AI, artificial intelligence. So if you've got 100 recruiters and you can automate 80% of the work, do you sack 80 of the recruiters and get the machines to do the same work just in more volume? Or do you actually say, what could we do if we gave that 80% of the time back to recruiters? What could we do and what could we create? So, that's the big thing we're talking about right now, and looking at how should we be using these time efficiency savings, and how far can we go with automation?
So in terms of that 80%, are you serious with that?
Yeah, oh, easy. I think all sourcing, all messaging, everything up to shortlisting can and should be automated, really, to work in a more efficient way. There's no doubt about that. If you look at products like placement feed, if you look at stuff like text kernel, I think what the problem we've got is we're not joining those. Each of those products are being used independently. There's too much work on things like using individual Chrome extensions, using individual tools, rather than joining them all up and get them to work in an automated way, say through a Zapier or something like that. So I actually think you can automate 80% of, you can easily automate 80% of what you do.
Is it the case? I've heard you speak often, Bill, about the robots or the automated process being more cost effective and more efficient at their job than a router. Is it just because they're cheaper, or is it because they're better?
No, well, there's a few things. One is the automatic reaction of people who said, "Okay, let's replace some people," and we shouldn't really do that. I think, when I've looked at things like evaluating matching technology, there's companies that organisations have judged matching technology based on the fact that the results of an automated search comes out exactly the same as the person would. Therefore, all we're really trying to do is get machines to do what people do. I actually think this should be the opportunity to say, no, actually, we want to do something different. We want to take a closer look at things like unconscious bias. We want to take a look at poor decision making. We want to take out more. And unconscious bias actually increasingly is the predominant cause of unconscious bias in selection process is opinions and thoughts which are built up by building relationships with people and having preconceived ideas before they become applicants. That's the way in which we're building technology now, rather than interviewing from cold and fresh. I think we've got to look at, there's a great blog post actually out at the moment from Katrina Kivin on this subject, about the fact that actually, use technology to make blind selections of people and actually meet them fresh as people without having known them up to the end, at the final stage of the process, and that might just remove a lot of the unconscious bias and discrimination that we have in process right now.
Can I say something there? 'Cause that's a massive coincidence over a conversation I had this morning with a company who are just creating a technology, or have created a technology, where that's the entirety of it. They're kind of a CV database where the candidate, that the client says what job they've got, they search for CVs, but they're searching for stuff and they cannot find anything out about the candidates until after they've invited them for interview to remove the unconscious bias. And their aim is to have a database as big as LinkedIn of people, so that you are finding everybody in the whole world who could do your job without knowing.
We used to call them recruitment agencies, get the Tipex out.
I know. But it's I don't know, 18 months ago, we were talking about the government, doing the blind recruitment, and I think it has gone a little bit quiet since then, but it's raising its head again.
Well, there's two things that are coming out quite a lot. One is whether you remove names and identifying factors. The other thing, which is related to equality of pay, actually, there's a couple of states in the US where you can't discuss salary details. You just have to attach a salary to a job. And when I first heard that, I thought that's kind of weird. The more I thought about it, the more I think that's a fantastic idea, that you don't know anything about the earnings of the candidate. You make offers based on what you think that candidate is worth to that job. And we don't know information in the selection. Now, there's a whole load of other stuff that's got to be done, from making sure it's the right place for women to work and that kind of thing. But I think actually Textio is probably the best technology I've seen for working with, for removing a lot of unconscious bias.
Textio is good, but Textio, like many of the other selection software out there, Textio is really for advertising, but it plays upon the paranoia of employers thinking
It goes much deeper than that.
we're gonna miss out on the very best.
No,
candidate.
that's kind of stupidity, really. I mean, that's organisations that have worked really hard. To say we're going to miss out on the best candidates doesn't mean we're going to miss out on the best hires. One thing organisations are not sure of is lots of applicants. It's just they've got shit ones.
Yeah, or they can't tell apart one from the other.
Yeah, and so it's really a volume of let's just build the funnel. Now, I think if we were to change the attraction and sourcing process and automate a lot of that, we would have the opportunity to change that.
Well, Textio, to explain, Textio is it's a bit like a spell check, but it's a stupid check for when you're writing a recruitment advert, which will suggest in your advert.
It actually goes much deeper than that, Stephen. That's what it is on the front end. So that's the stuff that people have gone for. But the more time you look in the product, and I was fortunate enough to spend a couple of hours getting quite a deep dive on this at the Smart Recruiters Conference. It's much more based on your organisational data, people, performance, looking at historical selection, historical trends, using all of the CVs you've got in your business.
So you can look data into it, and it'll use that to predict.
And performance based. So where that's going as a product is going to be around the whole communication. I'd probably differ with Katrina in that I think we need to move away from much of the human communication until the final stage, because I think that's where a lot of the bias happens, and the personality take. The very last technology I think we should be using is the phone until we get to final stages.
Can I, from my point of view, I entirely agree, bar one qualification. I would early on, after the first connection, maybe then have some technology and then get back into the human connection again, if only for the sake of the candidate, because if the candidate feels.
Yeah, but I think that's thinking about candidates in quite an old-fashioned way, Stephen.
Candidates think about themselves in an old-fashioned way, and they might accept technology.
No, I don't think so at all. Actually, what we're seeing increasingly is there's a massive difference between candidates and applicants. Candidates being people who are interested in a company, applicants who are interested in a job. I think our agency speak sometimes confuses that a bit. By the time someone becomes an applicant, they already know quite a lot about the company. There's already been some relationship established. They will already be connected with multiple people. We're finding the average length of time before somebody applies for a job is about 7 months. They've been attached to an organisation for. They're not strangers, and so we don't need to treat them like strangers. And in the application process, we need to source from that data pool, take the information and data that we know, take the data and information that we can collect from multiple sources, not just what gets submitted on a CV. Be able to qualify people, ask for more search for more information if we need it. You can do that in an automated way. Sometimes it's like my bot talking to your bot, which sounds a bit scary. Candidate bots and company bots, both sides are increasingly trying to avoid too much of the small talk, so we can get down to the business of, okay, where's a job and where's a match, and how let's really do everything we can to shrink the funnel and just concentrate on those people where it's likely to work on both sides.
Be different for each organization based on how they are perceived, the wider.
Yeah, I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than organisation. I think it's actually micro brand now. So it's more about departments and teams and individuals.
Didn't have a microphone on. I think Stephen's breaking up a bit there. Bill, we're trying to spend about 15 minutes with each guest, so we're coming to the end of our time with you. Have you got any other tips, and I'm in the US for a million, but how top recruiters are using tech. Have you got a couple of more tips you could give us?
Yeah, I just think the more that we're automating the early stages of what we're doing, I'm picking up on what Katrina's saying in the comments. Our outreaches are working now because of the lack of personal touch. I don't think we have any data that proves that. I think that's a gut feel rather than that's a gut feel reaction kind of conference comment rather than necessarily something we could show. I think definitely what we need to look at is the fact that the outreach messages can be made absolutely the absolute data and messaging. If we can get the targeting accurate, we can get the right people, get them with the right message. We can reach them in the right way. I think what we've got to do is look beyond trying to keep doing what we've always done, because and trying to not trying to hold on to the old ways. That the people who have been successful are using technology for their benefit rather than just because it's something bright and shiny.
Okay. All right. Cool. Right. I have. We find you and me at the same time. Well, thank you ever so much for sharing, Bill. Bill, what's the event you're at today? It's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm
true.
Okay, cool, good. I'm going to go on. How many have you got this year? How many true events?
There'll be about 70. So don't worry, Katrina. I speak to a few recruiters as well. I shouldn't worry too much about it.
Don't start a fight on my show.
I'll catch you all soon.
Yeah. Right, thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much, Bill.
Catch you later.
Cheers. Thanks. Right. So thank you, Katrina. Katrina has had to pop off. We're doing a load of shows with Katrina on a regular basis now, fortnightly or every Friday. I'm not quite sure. Katrina's using the Recruiter Zone channel, so I think we'll do another show on our own with her at some point, talking about the be human thing. So I think it's really quite interesting. I was just about to go weekly, she's saying. Now, Chris is meant to be with us and I can't see him. Chris, is your camera on? Is your microphone on?
My camera's on and I can see myself.
Can anyone see Chris?
I'm here. How are you? I've got a window. I can see myself again.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
I can see myself. I did get an invite to join again.
Okay, so
I said yes to it.
Okay, so it says, yeah, just darkness, a little bit sinister. There's a button at the top which says something about toggling your video.
Yeah.
Have a go at doing that. Let's see if we can see you. And Stephen's internet has died and he's coming back because that's the way these things go. As long as we carry on, as long as we don't have to tap dance. No, we still have.
Was a mic. No.
Yeah, Katrina's saying hit the video symbol in the URL bar. There's a little picture of a video, an old-fashioned video camera at the top.
Yeah, I hit that, turned it off, turned it back on again. I can see myself.
Yeah, that's really spooky because I can see that your camera is enabled. Well, it doesn't stop you from speaking, does it? So.
Well, I haven't brushed my hair, so maybe this is a good thing.
Well, I'm going to keep my own camera so I can look at you not speaking, so it isn't quite so unnerving for anyone who joins us now. If I can work out how to get your video to work, I will. So, Chris, do you want to tell us who you're working for? And then I've got a couple of questions for you from a CRM perspective.
Yeah, sure. So, well, my name's Chris. I've been in the recruitment software sector for about 20 years now, so a bit of an old dog. I'm currently working for the Access Group. My role is to advise companies on how to develop their technical strategies.
Okie dokes. All right, great. So from a CRM perspective, what do you think is next for recruiters? And I know you were mentioning to me this microservices business.
Yeah, well, I think things are sort of reaching a saturation point with the move into the cloud was a step change. It enabled us to deliver.
To reconnect. And whilst I know the question I'm asking him, I don't know the answer he's giving me. And we don't have Stephen either. Let me see whether I can. So, and Emily's watching the show. I'm going to get Chris back on. Emily, I know you're watching the show. I don't know whether you want to line up Jonathan ready for. Well, so let me see if I can get Chris back on and see Stephen isn't working, so Chris says he's here. I'm going to remove him. So the way this tech works is there's a back office where you can invite people on screen, and here he is.
Hey.
Hello. Hello,
Right.
everybody.
To answer me a question about the microservices.
Yeah, we've got to this point where we're delivering all of these services, but we're delivering them from lots and lots of different places. So if you think about, if you step away from just the CRM section, although that's a key component because that's where we make our money, that's where all the effort goes into, it's actually just one component in how we're delivering services to a company. So if we think of a more holistic approach and take a step back, we could be using the sort of content management for websites, we can be using mid-office, back-office financials, we can be using HR services, lots and lots of different things. So there's a huge inefficiencies throughout the business by, one, these systems not talking to each other, having multiple supplier relationships, and using applications that are in different places that aren't giving the best efficiencies to the actual business from an overall perspective. So microservices is a new term, and I read the phrase by one of the Apple guys a couple of weeks ago, and it kind of mirrors the way that we're going as a company. And I can only obviously speak from my personal experience here, but the Access Group, when we took a step back and looked at what we do, we operate in about 3 horizontals and 7 verticals. All of that technology or range of services can be utilized by a recruiter. So the delivery of microservices is delivering multiple services in piecemeal to the individuals. So you can access everything in one place. I mean, if we think about HR, for example, and onboarding from that part, we're bringing your new employees into the company. And it's not just about putting a pen on their desk and letting them know that this is the way that we make our cold calls. It's about developing their career for their line managers, seeing where they are, seeing what they need as they move forward, what training they need to go to the next steps. So there's that aspect there. We've got things like succession planning by bringing people through from one position to another, looking at what skills and strengths we have in one area to another. We have all of the mid-office areas, the CRM, the website, the content management. So all of this data and information is currently all over the place. The point of microservices is to bring it into one place.
Yeah.
So someone in the back office, instead of them having to have a license for your CRM just to get your hours report to run payroll, that's one piecemeal service that they can access from that part. You may have someone in marketing that wants to see the success of your business development team from a social campaign you've done, but they don't need full access to the CRM. So it's about picking the services that's pertinent to the individual user. So you're only paying for what you need in the most efficient manner possible.
Yeah. Chris, can you tell me, are we now at the point where the acceptance of individuals at a stage where they'll accept any new technology, any new tools readily, whereas the old school guys would find it really difficult?
I'm going to do a Katrina and try and add the words into there to I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
There's obviously with the younger generation. I'm nearing my 50s now, so I'm still a little bit staid and stuck in my ways. But I look at my nephew in his last year at university, and I was helping him with one of his studies. They're using technology from all over the place. So people now, the younger generation that we're bringing through the industry are much more open to new technology. But, and this is the thing I've seen, in my 20 years in this industry, there have been so many good ideas, peripheral add-ons, tech add-ons that have significant investment, that add real value, but still can take the recruiter away from their core day-to-day.
Yeah. Now,
recruiters are cracked at the whip. I can't remember who it was. Someone touched on it earlier by doing things that they should be doing, but they don't have time to do. These guys are sales driven. They're targeted. If by taking 15 minutes out of their day to add more data in to be able to create the management a better report, they're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
So yes, I do believe it will. It needs to come from the top down. You need to get buy-in from the CEO and really show business value and actually to the end user how they're going to get value, because we all know recruiters are very clever people and will take the quickest route from A to B.
Gets the most commission.
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of, and I know that Louise had asked before, but the line, is it going to be, as Bill was saying, the knitting together of different technologies where a multitude of tools can roll into one, where there's a seamless connection? I know an entire family of tools. Do they all work well with each other?
I think that's exactly where it's going. I mean, the problem is that also carries a lot of risk. We have the open APIs these days, which are constantly being updated, which give cloud suppliers the ability to interact with these services. But you know as well as I do, I mean, we're experiencing issues on just on this call, etc. today.
Yes.
The more suppliers, the more APIs, the more risks, the more blame. You can open yourself up to a myriad of problems. But I do fully believe that the dates of having a piece of software on one server, your CRM on another, your content management system on another, your big data and analytics on another, those days are gone. Everything in one place, nice and streamlined. So when we're talking about big data, it's not just talking about the front office side. You will be able to view analytics, everything from a candidate's first engagement with your company, what brought them to you, what was successful, what works, all the way through to what are your margins, which clients are you working best, which clients do I suggest you don't work with, which is a brave thing to do. But a lot of recruiters spend a lot of time doing things that are not as profitable as other services.
Yeah. Okay, quick flash.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan's ready, waiting in the wings. Sorry, Stephen, you're cutting out again. Were you about to ask Chris another question?
I was just going to say thanks to Chris and Bill and Katrina, and move on to speak with Jonathan.
All right, thank you ever so much, Chris. There was something else I wanted to ask you about, which is about the chatbots. But maybe we could do a blog post about that. Would that be okay? And then we can share that with delegates who are coming to the event.
Comfortable to do that, Louise. Let's take that one offline, because it is a hot topic, sort of bordering on language processing for recruiters.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to do a blog follow-up to this, and I'm obviously going to give you guys some more coverage because you're going to be at the event. So we'll do that as a separate post, which I'll message you directly about. So thanks ever so much, Chris.
Right.
Now I'm going to just try to get Jonathan on screen. Jonathan.
Good morning from New York City.
Well, morning to you. Thank you so much. Now, I don't know whether you saw, Stephen's got a problem speaking. Oh, he's got a problem. He's got no problem speaking. Stephen, do you want to try talking, or shall I ask Jonathan these?
I only have a problem being heard with the accent and all. But so Jonathan, Recruitics is all about analytics and data on the processes involved in the recruitment process. Is it the case that everything that can be measured should be, and what role do data and analytics play in deciding what technology is going to work for each organization, whether it be employers or recruitment firms themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we have come from an angle that as much as can be measured should in fact be measured, and when you have data at your fingertips, you can simply make better decisions. And you can see this all the way from the boardroom down to the recruiter's desk. And what we see as it relates to recruiters is that understanding data at the job level, the currency that we operate in is jobs.
Yeah.
And understanding data at the job level takes you beyond simply a cost per click or a location, and allows you to look at conversion rates to applications, which ultimately is our task as recruiters. Our clients are tasked with getting quality candidates into seats, and data at that level takes it beyond what's sort of at the top level. And so, as much as can be measured, we advocate to do that, and that's what's really informed our product as a leading kind of analytics
Yeah.
platform.
Isn't it the case, though, a position that what we're talking about marginal gains, and not that I'm against efficiencies, everything should be, you know, honed and finessed and made to be as good as possible, but can recruitment analytics, Recruitix, can that make such a substantial change as even 10% better than it was last week or the week?
Yeah, I think I caught most of that. I think what we see is when, you know, the difference from a placement or a hire could be one candidate, that, you know, any efficiency you can bring can massively increase your effectiveness. And we've seen customers that have used analytics to decide the right number of applications that are required to make a placement or a hire, and then simply revert dollars and revert strategy away from those applications to, again, look for that one candidate that's going to make us the hire that we need. So minor efficiencies can really drive us towards the end goal, which is making hires.
Mm-hmm. Louise, I think, is going to step in just now. If I can pass on to Louise. Apparently my microphone is going a bit patchy.
A bit patchy, it is indeed. Right, so Jonathan, yeah, I am, and I know what I'm going to ask you. So, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give to HR and talent acquisition professionals as they move forward in this space?
Well, I think I've worked with a number of organizations over my 12 plus years in this industry, and my biggest piece of advice is to understand the powerful position that recruiters are in as it relates to driving companies' ultimate goal of being effective and driving innovation and driving the bottom line. I think too often recruitment is put in that general expense line and not looked at as a leading driver of really business production. And so I think embrace that philosophy and operate that in a way that says what I do drives my company's success.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that recruiters are often asking for permission rather than stating how things should be done. And I think that whether it's in terms of using agency recruiters, in terms of spend on job boards, even going to conferences, it can be really difficult to get permission to do that. And it is a really, really integral part of the process. Well, it is the process, isn't it? Getting the right people that drives a business. How do we change that, though? What you're saying is right, but what do we do to change that?
Well, I think recruiters have to really own that, and we've got to add that into the way we present the business value that we're bringing. And I think when you come with data and analytics to that conversation, I think it empowers you to say, wait a second, this recruiter who is telling me this story has data that indicates that this can propel our business forward as it relates to making a hire that's been outstanding for 6 months or a year in some cases. And so I think owning that role and really embracing data as a way to present the power of what we're doing as recruiters is a big part of that.
Indeed. Are you going to be with us on the 7th of June yourself, or is someone else doing your little pitch?
Yeah, unfortunately, I am not going to be there. I'll be over here at some other conferences. We've got, June is a busy season for conferences across the globe.
Oh, I know. We do an event in June and an event in October, and they're 2 really busy months. But there's a reason for that, and that's because you've got to fit in amongst everything else. Well, right. At the June Tech event, I don't know whether you know, but we do a 2-minute elevator pitch. So each of the suppliers who we have does 2 minutes talking about their product. And I think that if all else fails, I reckon we should Skype you in to get you to do that. I mean, obviously not on this technology, but
Oh, that'd be great. And we do have some exciting news that we'll be announcing this summer around a free analytics program that will empower really some of the things we've talked about, and it sounds like some of your other speakers have chimed in on. So we'll be excited to talk with you and really the consortium at that June event and really launch that free program.
All right, cool. Well, like I mentioned, we're doing a blog post after this, but we'll also do a blog post one-on-one with you guys, because we do for all of the exhibitors at the event, so we can explore some of the stuff you've talked about in a bit more detail then. And on the blog post, I'll link to your site and any other references that you've got. So thank you ever so much for joining us, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
So happy to be here. Thanks so much.
Now, Stephen has completely gone. I'm just going to pop myself on main screen. Stephen has completely gone. Technology has completely died for him. So I will do apologise for that. So like I said, I'll do a summary blog post for this. If anyone's got any questions, send me a note and I'll ask our guests to follow up. Katrina and I are doing another chat about the Be Human thing. No doubt we'll have Bill on another show at some point. Next week on May the 2nd, the day after the bank holiday, we haven't got a guest yet. I'm not sure whether they're doing a show because it's bank holiday week. And then May the 9th, we're talking about RecX, which is Stephen's event in London. And then we have a sourcing tools chat later on in May. So thank you for all of you who've stuck with us. I'll see you hopefully in a week's time. Thank you very much.